And it's hello again to the wonderful web design guru that we all know of as Ivana Katz. Ivana, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. I always so look forward to speaking with you. I'm actually learning a lot of things whilst we're going through the process.
Really? That means I'm talking too much, so I should be quiet then.
No, but I think you should be revealing a few more secrets. You're very quiet.
Well, I tell you, we're going to have a storm shortly, so there you go. There's a secret. We're in for some bad weather. I've had lots of mail over the last week about your girly getaway weekend, and it seems as though I think you're going to be able to open up another business here, Ivana, other than website designs, yeah? So have you ever thought about putting together a dating site or something like that?
You know what? At one stage, I was, not that I would ever do something like that, but I thought, why not have a dating site that has got videos on it? Like, so that way you can get a sense for the person, what they're like. Because, I mean, photos are so deceiving and stuff. So I thought that would be a good idea. Not that I do anything about it, but just thought.
It's called Skype, isn't it?
Yeah, but you have to get to that step, you know, when you're giving somebody your actual email or your login details or whatever. So, but the first step should be a video. Although I think, are we moving? There's
a bit of a roll going on. So
shall we? Which way are we going?
there's a bit of a roll going on.
Oh goodness!
I tell you what though, this is something funny, and you want me to share a bit of secret stuff here. I've got a friend of mine who 2 weeks ago he set up a Zoom call with 3 girls that he was dating at the same time, and his strategy was he wanted to ask them all the same question at the same time and look at their faces to see what their responses was. I thought it was brilliant.
But they didn't see each other?
No, they knew they were there. It was a Zoom call and everybody could see each other on the Zoom platform.
But did they all know that?
Yeah. He told them. He told them what was going on. He said, look, I've been out with all of you. I like all of you, but there's a couple of things I want to know. And he invited them onto a Zoom call to do that. So,
that's being creative. I mean, if he was up front, then I go absolutely, because it was then up to them. Yeah, it's kind of dating these days. It's so different than what I used to when we were at school.
So they say, yes. Changed. So they say. I tell you what, I've got to look after I'm a bit worried about my little son here. He's in the dating scene at the moment, and he's found some nice little puppy girls outside that he's after at the moment. So
well, watch out, Oscar the player.
we've been having chats about the birds and the bees and all those other things that he can get himself into trouble with. So yeah.
And so what have you learned from him?
That he's going to ignore everything I say and he's just going to do what he wants to do. Yeah. He's a teenager, Ivana. You know what teenagers are like. So.
Oh boy, do I ever! I have not slept for the past 3 years, Mark.
Yes, there could be a lot more said about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's push on to episode Lucky 13. We're up to. So if you've been following this wonderful series with Ivana, go back and check out the other episodes because we're doing them in order to help you build a website that's going to be fantastic, and all these important topics that Ivana's sharing with you are helping you understand what is critically important in making sure you've got a world-class website at the end of the journey. So we haven't got too much longer to go in this series, Ivana, so I'm hoping that people have got to the stage now where we're putting the bells and whistles on the website here and making it look, absolutely critically important, aren't we?
That's right. We're just putting the touch points on the whole series, and I think we've got only about 4 left to go. And if you haven't sort of created your website by now, you can binge watch everything and do it all in the 1 week.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what Ivana does in every episode at the beginning, if you've been following us, you'll know that she does a review on somebody's website that's been sent to us or we have chosen through one of our contacts, and she spends a few minutes telling about some positive things that this website is about and about some things that could also be improved. So we've got another website to look at today. Ivana, should we take a look at that right now?
Yes, please. It's rollzo.com.
Oops, actually I was just going to show what we talked about last time and what we're going to talk about this time. So last time we had a great chat about graphics. You were going to put together your WDG graphic. Did you do that, Ivana?
Oh yeah,
You didn't
I
do it.
no, I didn't. I
Ah,
failed.
okay. Maybe for a future episode you can show us that
Yeah.
one. But we did talk about putting graphics together. We talked about the great organisation that is Canva and how you can use their tools to help you do that. And then we also talked about calls to action and some of the things that you can put on your website. Ivana, you want to give us 2 calls of action that you think are really important to have on your website?
Well, buy now and book if you've got a service-based business, book an appointment.
Yeah, exactly right. So today we're going to be talking about best way to boost your website credibility, and that's the agenda. But let's go through the Rolzo website that we're going to have a look at.
Rolzo website.
Let's see if we can work out what this company does.
Oh, well done. You know what? I went to their website and I'll cover some of the good things, but I was a little bit lost because I wasn't quite sure who their target audience. But let me just so that we're following our format. So the first thing that I wanted to say that they've done really well is they've got a clean design. Like they've got 3 colors. They've got the gold, the black, and some colors within their images, and so it looks really easy. It's easy to read, so really well done on that. They also have logos of well-known companies, and that goes to their credibility, and that's something that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. They have really good information about what they do and how they do it, and great images of the cars that they hire out. And what I was impressed with finding out is that they've actually got a COVID-19 page, which you don't get to see on many websites. And so really done, well done on those. My suggestions for improvement would be is that there's no phone number or location, or I can't chat to them live. So the only way I can contact them, I think they've got a form and then they've got email addresses, but I have no idea where in the world this company is. My guesses would be US because it's a .com domain name, but it could be anything else. As you said, it is a global company. So, and even though they're reaching out to people around the world, I think it's still important to have the address or have the location and phone number available for people to contact them. They're also missing a home button again, like the one that we looked at last week. Again, I know that people can click on the logo and it will take them to the homepage, but a lot of people won't realize that that's what they can do. I would probably include a video on the homepage which explains a little bit more about their service. And so when I arrived at their website and I was reading it, one global solution for effortless car travel. I'm like, what do these guys actually do? What is the solution? Would this be for me? And then I kept reading the paragraph underneath, and it talks about travel, aviation, hospitality, and lifestyle management. Again, I wasn't really clear, is this for travel agents, or I didn't know who the website was for, so I would probably clarify it. And I think doing that in a video would be really good because, again, we are lazy, we don't want to read. Just explain it to me in terms that I will understand. And then they also talk about APIs and how they work. Most people won't know what an API is. And even, if it is that you are a travel agent, again, you're not likely to know how to integrate their service into the website. So I think maybe making things a little bit simpler on the website would go a long way. But I think their design, as I said, it's clean and they have great information. So I think just a few tweaks and they could be, their website would be off the charts.
Yeah, I think that's really good feedback, and I know this company, and the first thing I want to say to you is, and you've picked up on it, it's not clear in terms of who their target audience is. It's actually a business-to-business organisation, so it's not a retail front for anybody who wants to go and hire a rental car. It's actually for businesses that they want to have on board, such as the hospitality industry, the aviation sector, and etc., and that is not clear. If you click on the cities menu option in there, you'll see that they service 10,000 cities around the world with their solution. So they've got global coverage, and they actually, when you sign up to become a member, then they give you all the tools then on how you interact with them. But it's a bit too late after that if you don't know how to actually engage with them in the beginning. So that's your feedback is very relevant.
True.
Yeah, your feedback is very relevant.
And so whilst they've set up the network behind the scenes, when I first come there, I don't know, is it for me because I want to hire a car, or do I have to be a travel agent? I would actually specifically say, like, just to say somebody in the aviation industry, is it for the pilots? Is it for the, like, I don't know. It doesn't, so I think they need to work maybe a little bit on the copy and everything else, but their images are great. And then once I kind of started digging, but I was digging a lot more before I kind of understood what they do, and a lot of people won't bother. So yeah.
Good feedback, and it's great that I think we did this website today on the show, because we're talking about credibility, right? And if you want to get credibility up front, then you've got to make sure people understand what you're doing. We talked last week about Clean Machine, and I think it would be clear to say that we both felt that they had a lot of credibility right from the get-go with us, Ivana, didn't they? Because they were just right on point with what they have to sell.
They were, absolutely, because they were giving us everything that we needed to know about their products, and I think that's what people are looking for. They want to know the information there and then. They don't want to have to wait until they can email you in the morning, or they can call you if you even had a phone number on there. But Clean Machine was a great website to use as an example, especially if you have a product-based business.
Okay, great.
And, yeah.
Absolutely. Right, let's get into today's topic, building credibility for your website. How do you go about this? And I suggest that it's not by using Google Images. That wouldn't be one way to build credibility, would it, Ivana?
No, definitely not. Look, ultimately, where people struggle with converting visitors into paying customers is because they lack credibility. If Jamie Oliver releases a book tomorrow, everybody's going to buy it because he has the credibility behind him. He's got the reputation. But it's taken him some time. He's had to prove himself over time that he knows what he's talking about. If I release a cookbook tomorrow, my mum will probably buy it, but that's it. And so your website, in order to convert people into buying your products and services, you have to prove your credibility. And there's no way of getting around it. Like, you can, and the thing is, a lot of people think that the way they do it is they talk about using the greatest techniques and the best ingredients, and they're very shallow words that we just dismiss. It just doesn't mean anything. And I can tell you how wonderful I am, but it's not going to have nearly as much weight as if somebody else says it about me. And so if you want to sell products, services, programs, courses, whatever, you do have to prove your credibility. And so these are some ways that you can do that. The very first thing is to have a professional website that stands apart from everybody else. So in this case, I would say get a website designer or developer to create it for you, unless you know how to design websites, or you've got some experience, or you're willing to learn. But creating a website that converts can take months, even years. And it's all about testing. So if you are starting and you're just creating the website, it's going to take you a long time. So I'd say get a professional designer and then listen to what they suggest. Because I find sometimes people will contact me and we'll have a discussion, and I try to educate and explain to them about how it works in the online world, and they'll dismiss everything that I've said because they want to do it their way. And so if you're paying somebody a lot of money to design your website, listen to them. Like, just, maybe work with them as sort of like a part of a team, and you understand your customers, but they understand the process and what needs to go on the website. So having a professional website, number one priority. It must look, it must be It must use real images rather than stock images, which is what we talked about previously. So get professional images created, or take them yourselves, or have somebody take images, photos of you, and include that on the website, rather than using images that everybody else uses. Because then your website ends up looking like, 1.8 billion other websites that are out there. It's something like 200 new websites are being launched every single minute. How
Wow.
crazy is that?
Wow. Wow.
A lot of competition. So professional design, number one. The next one is testimonials and reviews. Incredibly important. Now, I would say get testimonials from every customer that you've ever dealt with. Simply email them after they've bought your products or they've engaged your services, and ask them. And maybe even you might have to follow up 2 or 3 times, because people forget. One good thing that I've done, that I have found, which has converted sort of people into actually doing it, is showing them examples of other testimonials. So if you're contacting somebody asking them to write you a testimonial, send them your testimonials page and say, if you want to see what other people have written, check out this page. So those are really good. And the other thing is review websites. So the best reviews are probably through Google, because Google gives a lot of weight if you've got, and I've actually had a lot of people come through on Google My Business, because I've got quite a few good reviews there now. And so if you can set that up for your business, having Google reviews is a really good thing, not only from the search engine perspective, but also people give it a lot more trust if you've got those reviews. And you can have them on Google, but then you can also copy them to your website. So reviews, and there's a lot of third party, obviously, if you're in the travel industry, things like TripAdvisor and stuff like that. If you've got good reviews, link to them from your website. The other one is media mentions, so as seen in or as featured on. And this can be other websites, it can be on the radio, it can be on YouTube. If somebody has mentioned you and your business anywhere else, just mention it on your website. And then I would include logos on your website of places that you have been mentioned. So I've got Humanity logo on my website, because again, it gives me the credibility. These guys want to deal with me, so I must be all right.
Yes, you are all right, yeah. And you don't just get WDG after your name if you haven't done something impressive in this world. That's what I say.
That's, yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Absolutely.
So the next thing, and this is what Rolzo has done really well. They've included client logos. So if you're dealing with especially well-known companies, whether that if they're your clients, for example, or you have provided some products to them, include their logo on your website, because you are then perceived to have an association with somebody who is well known and who's got a well-known brand. And again, they figure if they've done such a good job that they're willing to employ you or use your products, then yeah, the logo should definitely go on your website if you can, on the homepage. And obviously it depends on how many clients you have and the sort of business you have.
I just want to talk on that one, talk to that point in terms of using that as part of your marketing strategy. I had a situation a number of years ago where I had logos on my website, and I was sending those logos to the competitors of those companies within their industry and saying, can you afford not to be involved with my business because your competitors are, and they're getting a distinct advantage by having a relationship with me. And it worked nearly every time. So it's a very powerful,
I love that.
It's a very powerful marketing tool to put within an industry that you've got 2 or 3 companies that may be leading within that industry, to send it out to their competitors and say, hey, look, can you afford not to be doing business with me?
That's right. Put a bit of fear in them. Well done, Mark. Yeah, people are. It's the FOMO, fear of missing out. Like if they're doing it, well, I should be doing it as well.
Yeah.
Clever. I like it.
So there's a couple of different steps in terms of how you can use the logo and testimonials of people. particularly if you've had things in the press as well and you have found it difficult. I had a situation a number of years ago where I wanted to get into a very large, globally well-known US newspaper, and I'd been trying for a long time to do that. I wasn't successful, so I made sure I got into the largest newspaper in the UK, and then I used that as my leverage to get into the US one, and it worked. So you can use it in different ways. So I like to say to people, if you're going to have a logo and you're going to have testimonials on your website, make it work for you. Make sure you've got a marketing strategy behind having that on your website, because then it actually turns into a call for action, which we've already talked about in our previous episode, Ivana.
Yeah, and absolutely leverage every asset that you have and just plaster it out there. I was talking to a client during the week, and we were talking about marketing and, putting things out on social media. And I said to her, I've actually created a list. It's actually an Excel spreadsheet, and I call it my marketing assets. And it's amazing. Like, I've been in business for 18 years. The amount of tutorials, articles that I've written, videos that I've put together, and you kind of forget that you've got all of this stuff, but it all adds to the credibility, and it shows all the things that you have done. And I think it's such a, like, now I love that as a tool. If I'm ever needing any information that I want to send to a client or something like that, my marketing assets list has got everything right down to testimonials, frequently asked questions that I get asked. And then it just saves me so much time. So if you can, especially if you've been in business for a while, because we forget all the things that we've done over the years. Some of the things may need updating, and I think that's what I need to do next. But you've got all this gold probably, unless you're only just starting in your business. But maybe even if you've worked for a company and you have put things together for a business, whether it be checklists and guide, you can probably tweak them and use them on your website and give things away, because it adds to your credibility as the expert in your business.
Absolutely.
So that for me has been it took me about a week to put it together, but I love it. It saved me so much time since then.
Good point.
So the client logos, I love your idea of getting them. Installing fear in them. I love that. The next one, which is very powerful, is before and after photos. And we all love makeovers, whether it be hair, makeup, houses, it's really good for carpet cleaners and cleaners and things like that. And also the hairdressers. I've seen hairdressers use it really well. See what you look like now and stuff. So before and after photos, if it applies to your business, absolutely. The next thing is case studies. So maybe think about one of your clients that was really successful as a result of using your products or services, and take them on a journey. Explain what the customer's problem was. Explain then what you did with that customer or the process you took them through, and then the outcome. Again, and people can then feel like, oh my God, that's like me. I've got the same problem. And they then understand the process that you're going to, and potentially the outcome that they're going to have. So case studies are also really good. Include a portfolio if you're a designer. So I've got a portfolio of designs of websites I've created, the logos that my graphic designs have created. So whatever you can show it off either in a portfolio gallery or a photo gallery. So that's really good. The next one is your contact details. They go to your credibility as a solid business. So I would include your phone number, and your phone number. Don't dismiss that nobody's going to use the phone number. Even if they don't use it, just simply knowing that they can contact you, it'll make them feel better. So phone number, email address, your street address where possible. If you can't include your street address, at least a post office box. I know you won't, but at least a post office box or the area where you are located. Again, it goes to how solid your business is. And if you're a traveling business, tell people, today I'm in Brisbane and next week I may be somewhere else. So, but just be transparent. The more transparent you are, whatever your life circumstances or business circumstances, the better off you will be, because that way people can feel like they can trust you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just going to add to that, Ivana, and we talked about Rolzo having a COVID-19 section on their website, which is a brilliant idea. If there's a lot of businesses at the moment that are changing addresses, they might be moving out of a specific office because of some of the restrictions and lockdowns and everything that's happening around the world. You might be working from home and you previously weren't. Make sure you update those contact details on your website to make it relevant to where you are today. There's nothing worse than driving 20 kilometers to go and see a business because you looked at their address on a website and they're not there anymore.
That's very true. And not only your website, if your business is on Google My Business, and a lot of businesses depend on that, don't forget to update that as well. And as well as your social profiles. Don't assume that just because you posted it on Facebook that everybody saw it. So that's a really good point. Yes, especially at the moment, you might have to update it and just let people know what you're doing and how you can serve them, or how it's going to impact them. So that's a really good point, Mark. The next one, I have trade association memberships and certifications, and so this is particularly good for like a lot of the tradies. I've dealt with plumbers. They've got here in Australia Master Plumbers Association, and there's all sorts of cleaning associations. Just by being aligned to them, and if they've got a good reputation, people will assume that you also, that you're meeting certain standards, and so they will trust you more. If you have won any awards, industry awards, or any kind of awards, I would be plastering them all on the website. And share your numbers and name drop. So like you were talking about Oprah, I spoke to Oprah and all of a sudden I'm like, if Oprah want to talk to him, I want to talk to him. No, do you know what I mean? Like,
or maybe not.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we have George Clooney there as well. So. But yeah, no, seriously, share numbers. If you have worked with 10,000 people, if you're a coach and you have implemented something in an organization that has 10,000 people, mention 10,000 people, that you have changed the lives of 10,000 people. So don't be afraid to share your numbers and drop names. If you have worked with personalities or other people that people might know in your industry, don't be afraid to drop names. Again, it goes to your credibility by association. And finally, include terms and conditions of doing business with you and privacy policy. Because again, and don't make it too much of a legal document, because people are not going to read it anyway. But it's good to have it, because for those that do want to say it, it needs to be solid and it needs to apply to your country. Don't just copy and paste somebody else's terms and conditions, because every country is different. And being online, there are so many different variations. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, and the same thing with privacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all of those things go to showing that you're solid business, you're trustworthy, and you're credible. But yeah, the most important for me, if I'm dealing with a business, is their transparency. Like, I don't care if they've had to close down their office because of COVID or something else. If they can tell me that I can now buy their products or services somewhere else for X, Y, Z reason, I don't mind, but they're being honest with me. And so it goes to the trust. So transparency goes a long, long way.
I just want to add, it probably falls under the bucket of media and, where you've been seen and all the rest of it. But keynote speaking is another big credibility factor as well. If you've been invited to speak at a global conference about your industry or as a speaker on a certain topic, that goes a long way to adding credibility as well. There's a lot of platforms that we know around the world that people get invited to speak to, and those platforms have a lot of credibility associated with them. So if you have done some guest speaking somewhere on a certain platform, make sure you include either a copy of the speech if you can, or a video of you performing the speech in front of that huge audience. That always lends a lot of credibility.
Absolutely, yeah. Like as soon as you see somebody having done a TEDx talk or TED talk that I saw recently, it does. It gives you a lot of credibility. So that's a good point, and that can go under the media mentions or create a special page for that. A lot of my coaches and consultants do that. So I'm glad you brought that up. I should have included it in the list.
Very good. Have we got a frequently asked question today, Ivana?
We do. Before we go on to that, though, there is a downloadable, I think, and it's 18 ways to prove your credibility, and that kind of goes through all of the things we talked about, and it's got a few more other things that you can do to prove your credibility. So feel free to download it. You don't even need to leave your email address. Just take it, read it, and apply it to your website.
Brilliant.
Okay, so the question that I get asked a lot is, if I use a theme or a template, won't my website look like everybody else? And so this is mainly for people, say, that use WordPress, and there's lots of themes and lots of templates that you can use and download. WordPress comes with its own themes. The latest one's called 2020 for obvious reason. But so there's a lot of free themes, but the answer is yes and no. It can look the same as everybody else if you use stock images and you just use the layout exactly as it is laid out. But where themes and templates come in handy for WordPress is more for the functionality behind the scenes. So certain themes will allow you to add in slideshows, for example, whereas other themes won't have that functionality, and you'll need a degree in programming to be able to insert them. So it's incredibly important that you use a theme that is paid theme rather than a free theme. And the reason I say that is because paid themes get regularly updated. So every time WordPress upgrades the theme developers, because they're being paid and it gives them extra incentive, they will keep updating it. Whereas if you're getting a free theme, it's going to kind of, after maybe 6 months or 12 months, it may not work too well. So the theme is more the functionality behind the scenes. How your website actually looks, that then depends on the elements that you add to it. And so if you've got a slideshow that features original images, so it's not going to look like anybody else. If you use original copy, which you should, that relates directly to your business, not something that you've copied off somewhere else, again, the information is going to be unique and original. If you include a video, again, nobody else is going to have it because most people are afraid to have videos. So all the different elements will actually make your website unique. It's not the theme. Each theme allows you to tailor the colors that you use, obviously your brand colors that you add your logo. So I use one particular theme for all the websites that I build, and they all look so different. But that's because I use different elements and different graphics and different bits depending on the business and what it needs and what the client's able to supply. So the answer is, if you just stick with the theme as it was uploaded, and then you only just change a few words and leave the graphics, then yes, it's going to look like everybody else, but you shouldn't do that. You should be uploading your own images, graphics, and calls to action and everything else. And then it's going to be unique to you.
Yeah, brilliant. And as you've said many times throughout the different episodes, be creative, think outside the box, and have fun, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right? Is create something you're really proud of, and through that process itself, you'll make it different to everybody else's.
And it will never stop. Like, your website should always be evolving. It will, it's not like I've created it today and it's going to be like that for the next 5 years. It shouldn't even be like that for the next year. It should always be evolving, and you should be adding. I tell you, my website is my greatest asset because I've got everything in there. So whatever I need to send to my clients, it's all on my website. So if you ask me about tutorials, about trust icons, I've got a downloadable for that. If you want to know about calls to action, I've got a tutorial for that. So I can send you any information, and so it saves me so much time and effort. And so I think that's why I keep saying your website should be the center of your business universe.
Yeah.
Not only for your customers, but for you.
Yep. And as you say, in terms of, it should always be evolving. It's just like girly weekends away, right, Ivana? They should always be different, never be the same.
Yeah, I can't wait for my next one, my gosh.
We can't either. We're going to be there live, I reckon. I think there's going to be a plug-in from the next girly weekend away because all my audience is screaming for it.
Oh dear, I better warn a few people.
There we go. Talking about moving on, what are we talking about in the next episode, Ivana? What can everybody look forward to next week?
Oh, that's the fun part. Well, for me anyway. Talk about how to monetize your website.
Ah, yes. Bring in the dollars.
Yes, yeah. So we've got that to cover, and then in future episodes we're also going to be talking about tools and apps that you can use to save you time and money. And I think our final episode will be talking about search engines.
There we go.
So,
and then
I think the next one will be how to monetize your website.
There you go. If you want to make money, Ivana's going to teach you how to do it, folks. So make sure you tune in next week to hear that. Ivana, it's been fantastic being with you again today. Thank you for sharing your wonderful knowledge in the whole web design process. I know that there's a lot of people out there getting a lot of takeaway from this, and I hope we helped out Rolzo today in their website and making sure that they can do a couple of things to tweak that to make it a little bit easier for their audience to understand what they are doing. So thank you for your time.
My absolute pleasure, Mark, and I look forward to next time again.
Absolutely. See you soon.
See you. Bye.
There we are. Ivana Katz talking to us about building credibility on your website. I hope you're enjoying the website design series with Ivana. She's doing an amazing job walking us all through the ways and how we can create a fantastic website. She's doing this because she wants to help you in your business and making sure that your website is not only selling products and services, but it's giving you the credentials and the branding that your business deserves after all the hard work that you put into it. Make sure you check out all the other videos we've done in this series. We're going to be back. We've got 3 more episodes to do to finish the series off. We're going to be back next week with the next episode in the series. Until then, my name is Mark Philpott. I wish you all a very happy, safe and prosperous week ahead.